Welcome to our commentary for episode 2 of our show. I thought it was really important to start this episode with a sort of a recap on the last episode. It'd been about 2 years between episodes at this point, so I thought it was really important to kind of let the audience know where we left off with the characters. So I put in the poem from the end of the last episode as the start and kind of used it almost as a bit of a previously. It's not exactly a previously, but it kind of just recaps where Rachel was as a character when we last left her. So that's kind of where this part came from that. The 2 year later time jump I think was really important because it had been, as I said, 2 years since our last episode. So I think it was really important to kind of acknowledge that it had been that long. And it also helped kind of with continuity in terms of like changes to the house. It kind of gave us this gap of like 2 years where things might have been changed within the house that we use as our set. So that kind of was why I worked it into the story. I also wanted to start it very similar to the last one and kind of harken back to that overhead shot and Rachel turn to the camera, just to kind of like keep a sort of familiarity between the two episodes and a sort of similarity as well.
There you go.
I really wanted to, within this episode, incorporate a few more scenes of Rachel's parents and kind of give their perspective. I know that a few people, after seeing the first episode, had said that they hadn't seen too much of Rachel's parents within the show, or that perhaps it didn't seem to be impacting them as much as you would think. And that was just a case of that we only had 10 minutes to kind of set up Rachel, Scarlett, the illness within the first episode. So sadly, I sort of sacrificed the parents a little bit. But I did want to fill into a bit of their story. So I decided to go back into an earlier time when she had just been diagnosed. Also shout out to our brilliant Rachel who did our song for this scene. It's fantastic and I love it. Also, it was a conscious decision to make it black and white just to kind of separate the past from the present. And also, like, I think it makes, because it's a sad memory, I think it just makes it feel more emotional being black and white. I love Andy and Kirsten's performance in this scene. They bring really a realness to it. And I think they both did a fantastic job. I think this is conversations that parents perhaps have before they have a diagnosis, when they just don't know what to do. Or maybe just after the diagnosis, because doctors don't really understand her. So you are left as a parent, I presume, to kind of find your own way. And there is no roadmap to her. And it's so hard for parents. So I really, really wanted to show that.
The last thing I would want is for my mum or dad to change me.
It's true, I would never wish Emmy on anyone. A good old montage. I always say, like, the real, like, person who deserves the biggest bows during our sort of montages are Aled, who does the score for the episode, because without the music there's just a succession of images. I hope powerful images, but he really kind of brings them to life and kind of adds in the emotion to them and just brings it all together. And so whenever he sends me the music for a montage, it blows me away every single time. So, like, complete credit to Aled. I will say that I believe that in some of these shots it is a stand-in hand. It's not actually Andy's hand because we had to reshoot some of that, but Andy wasn't with us on the second day, so just a little fun behind-the-scenes detail there. Again, just making sure that the mum and dad are always present, even if they don't have lines.
This was the day everything started to change.
So, of course, like, this bit is very, very fictionalised. There is, as far as I know, no massive celebrity that's ever been diagnosed with ME or done an interview. So this part is completely nothing to do with my history at all. It was just something that I thought would be a nice idea. I think it also came from a chat with one of the executive producers, Andy, about like maybe incorporating another character with Emmy. And I think it would be super useful if there was more people speaking about it. Particularly, like, I think that when you have a profile, I think that people might listen to you more. So I just kind of want to show that. And also it brought in Nicole in without the talking poster. It kind of brought her in a slightly different way. This is earlier in Rachel's story. So it was before the talking poster. This is just Scarlett as Scarlett. This isn't the imagination. This is the real Scarlett. And this is why that Scarlett is an icon or someone that Rachel looks up to. I will say this scene was really fun to film, or really, really hard. It took a few goes to do because both Nicole, who plays Scarlett, and David, who plays the interviewer, recorded their part of the scene months apart. So to try and match up the lighting, particularly like David's was shot after Nicole's, so we did film it all once, and then I put it into the computer, did a double check, and the lighting wasn't quite exact, so we had to film it again, kind of lower some of the aperture and stuff like that, and just make it try and sync up, because we had filmed Nicole's scene first, and then a few weeks later we filmed all of the rest of the episode in my friend Zara's house. And then a few weeks after that, we had to come back to filming the rest of the interviewing scene. So all the camera settings weren't the same by that point. That is not any kind of like computer manipulation, because we'd filmed Scarlett's scene first, even just her side of it. I put it onto the real iPad and it allowed the actors to actually feel the emotion by seeing the real scene. Again, I really wanted this episode to be quite kind of dark, but then as kind of we bring it back to the present to kind of focus in on hope, because I think that we ended the last episode with this, I'm never going to give up. And so I think that if we didn't kind of follow through on that hope thing, it wouldn't feel right. This is a poem by Malia again, who's an incredibly talented artist in her own right. She suffers with Emmy as well. And she wrote this specifically for this episode, as well as she is the person that gets the scripts at the earliest and makes notes on them, and we really collaborate on them, and that's why she's an executive producer. And I love this poem. And I really did think it does kind of keep that feeling of hope going, in that despite all of what Rachel's going through, it's important to kind of have an element of hope, even if it feels like it's never going to come off, or that you might never get over it. Hope kind of can carry you through the darkest times. Again, kind of carrying on with our sort of stats that we always put at the end of an episode. And yeah, credits, and that was our second episode. I'm incredibly proud of it. I'm incredibly proud of all the performances put in by Chloe, who plays Rachel, and Nicole, who plays Scarlett, and Andy and Kirsten, who play Mum and Dad. David, who's the interviewer, as you can see in the credits. Niall was the stand-in, and all of the crew, like, you know, our cinematographers, our sound people. We shot this in approximately 12 hours, and that's crazy. It's a massive turnaround. I'm so proud of everyone, and I'm so proud that we were able to pull it together. And I'm really, really pleased that people have enjoyed it and got something from it, and have continued to support what we're doing with the show. So I want to end this commentary by saying thank you to all of you who've watched and shared and have found it important in any kind of way. And yeah, I'm looking forward to you all seeing episode 3. And thank you for the support, and thank you for listening to this commentary.